good people, to what will likely be my final video in Bali, Indonesia. How do I feel? Okay, so welcome to another video. I'm excited that this will be uploaded on time. It is currently Sunday, and I will have this scheduled to upload Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern time. That's kind of the schedule I started and I want to maintain. So I will be back in the US on the East Coast, and I think I think I'll get back to that schedule a lot easier. It's so interesting because I've been doing the digital nomad thing for a decade, 10 years, and it still doesn't get old. However, I find myself going in and out of seasons quicker. So if you've been in any of my programs, or I think I've shared this on Instagram, but I have 4 seasons throughout the year. They kind of simultaneously go alongside our actual weather seasons, but it looks like this. The spring is my launching season. I try to make all my annual revenue within 3 months. That allows me to kind of do all the hard work and heavy lifting, and then spend the other 9 months as I desire. Maybe it's working, creating, traveling. But I created this system maybe 5 years ago, and it's worked really well. So spring is for launching, summer is for living, fall is for listening, and winter is for learning. So I'll kind of share it again, breaking it down. Spring, like I mentioned, launching anything like services, programs, courses, masterminds, retreats, doing all the things, kind of like laying out my calendar and saying, okay, what do I want to host, run, or teach this year? So I do that kind of top of the year. But what I like about spring season is that people have had a couple months to settle into the year. So it's not that like January 1st anxiety. It's kind of like the March energy of like, all right, I know what I want. Now I'm looking for help, guidance, or a community to get me there. And then, after those 3 months of like heavy lifting, probably putting in a lot more than 80 hours a week, I will spend the 3 months of the summer just living. This is like traveling with friends, going to concerts, festivals, now with Stefan, hiking, camping, like just whatever we want, Maybe even just creating, like working on something creative that has nothing to do with income generation. And then that leads to the fall, which is listening. And I call this the listening season because now I'm setting up the surveys and I'm getting feedback from my community and also my students and mentees. So kind of touching base, like what are they still needing from me? Where are they still struggling? Where can I give them more clarity? And what are just generic content ideas? So after I will spend 3 months kind of like doing surveys, content testing, data collection, then based on those answers, I go into winter, which is my learning season. So I'll say, okay, there's a pattern and answers focused on launch content, for example. So I might spend 3 months in the winter just deep diving on launch content, podcasts, books, interviews, YouTube, research, my own like nerdy rabbit holes that I'll go on, and then maybe even my own split testing. So it's kind of like where I get to learn specific areas of like business coaching, content creation, leadership, any specific areas where I've taught, and then that perfectly leads right back into the spring season, which is where I launch probably a new offer or relaunch something that I've offered in the past with an updated curriculum or something. So again, high level, spring for launching, summer for living, fall for listening, winter for learning. I've run that system, I think, for 5 years now. I created it randomly, and then I think I've taught it to Brendan Burchard's community, my own programs, and my community. I think I've mentioned it online a couple times. So I'm like very proud of it because it's like worked really well. And so at the top of this video, I mentioned that I'm going in and out of seasons quicker, meaning like we kind of like did our spring launching season a little bit earlier. I think we kind of did it in February this year. And then because we launched earlier, we started living earlier. So like we've just been living in Bali. But interestingly enough, like I'm kind of ready to like experiment and like not launch again, but I have all these new ideas. And that's the thing about travel, is that you go out in the world and you get so much inspiration, it makes you want to like go back and work like harder or different. And I'm just recognizing that there's, I don't want to call them voids, opportunities. I'm recognizing a lot of opportunity where I can fill in the blank. And because I genuinely love this stuff, like I recognize that this industry is becoming a little saturated because people are getting in it for the income opportunity and not for the love of teaching people or the love of creation. So because I love content creation, I love offer creation, business coaching, entrepreneurship, it's my jam. So I'm constantly thinking about it. And it's exciting because when I think of a new way that I can create something, it makes me want to like just isolate and get into my rabbit hole and just, or my little dungeon, and just like create. So I feel like I'm getting there. And while Bali obviously is beautiful, I don't find myself to be my most productive while I'm in Bali. Like Bali is where I come to relax. And yeah, I'll give you an example of like what my day looks like. Stefan and I, he's in Ubud, he went to a ceremony with our friend Gabor. And my other friend Chelsea, she's running her retreat right now. So today was like, all right, let me do this and record this video while I have the house to myself. So Stefan and I, he'll usually wake up earlier than me. He's like an early riser, which I love. I'm probably getting up these days, maybe 8 a.m. And what I also started recognizing, or what we started recognizing, is that giving each other space in the morning allows us to like come together in the afternoon with like more focused and aligned energy. But let's say one of us is like crankier than the other, or one of us slept on the wrong side of the bed, and then we bring that energy into each other's morning routine, it can like mess up the day. So I would recognize like, okay, if he gets up at 6 and maybe I get up at 8, I know his full routine, which is like meditation, journaling, podcasting, working out, cold shower, and coffee, that could take anywhere from like 2 to 3 hours. So I'll kind of have an idea of like, maybe I'll peek on him and see that like, oh, he's just in his meditation, so I'm gonna give him another hour. And so I say all that to say, based on like whether I can go out and like mess up his day, because I'll be honest, I'm the one that's like, in the morning. I'm sharing all of the business ideas that came to me overnight. So to preserve his peace, I'm like, okay, let me give him space to just align himself. So let me just share my routine and then I'll give the context. So I'll wake up and immediately I'll do Bible study. So many of you probably have heard of the YouVersion app. It's just the Bible app, but it's by YouVersion. I think I've had it since college, so maybe 12 years. But it's a really great place to, whether it's devotionals, Bible study, just even videos. They have like this daily story and daily word where you can just like watch like a pastor or a youth leader kind of minister to you for a couple minutes. And it's really nice because it just breaks down scripture in a way that you can just understand it. Get out of here. How did it get to fly? I don't want, I am low-key pissed. Okay. No. Okay, this is not a part of the plan. You get out of here. Okay, there it is. Okay. No? Okay, I lost it. But yes, I am as violent as I seem. Absolutely. So with these open air type of concepts, well, this one is like really high ceilings, but it's pretty closed off. And so it's really hard for flies to get in. So if one somehow sneaks in, I'm just like, I take it personal. So, okay, let me get back to what I was talking about. Okay, so I'll wake up, Bible study, And then probably do an hour. Again, just depending on how much time I want to spend in the bedroom, I'll do the Bible study, I'll journal, then I'll read for a little bit. Usually it's like a business or self-help book. Right now I'm reading The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Highly recommend. It's just a great book on like what money does to people's brains and how it can corrupt people when they get too greedy. And I find that like there's very few people that I look up to in a business sense who I think have managed their money, integrity, and personality well. So I really like this book because it's a bunch of case studies of people who've made a lot of wealth and lost it all from being too greedy, or gain more from like maintaining their integrity. So great book. Okay, and then that's when I'll come to the main area, probably the living room. I'll like jug a bunch of water. I usually already have water bedside, but I'll jug a bunch of water, love up on Stefan, and maybe at that hour we do like our love check-ins, another framework that we created probably like a year and a half ago. But L is learn, O is observe, V is vulnerability share, and then E is empathy. So what did you learn about yourself today? Or what did you learn about me today? We can kind of switch it up. O, what did you observe in the world today? Or what did you observe about your emotions today? V, is there any vulnerable thing that you'd like to share from this week? And then E, exchanging empathy with each other. Like I empathize with your vulnerability, X, Y, Z. I'll probably do a dedicated video on that another time, but I love frameworks and I love creating them because they help. I don't even want to call it like systematize, but it just helps contextualize and compartmentalize the ways that we understand each other and can continue to hold space for each other's growth. So yeah, we'll maybe do a love session, and I have a bunch of them recorded, which is also incredible because it's like, I just can't wait to listen to them like decades from now and be like, oh my gosh, like this is what we were, I don't know. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I love time stamping moments because it's just, life moves so fast. Okay. We'll do love, and then we'll probably work out together. We have like this mobile gym set up. He found it on Amazon, I think. It's really good. Like it comes with like a bar, like it mimics dumbbells and barbells, and yeah, there's a bunch of circuits. So we'll do like a circuit, and that'll take us maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. And then we rotate taking showers. Maybe he'll jump in the pool right away. And yeah, after we've both showered and gotten ready for the day, we might still have like another 30 minutes or an hour of downtime to like read or just watch the sunrise, or I don't know, or the sun has risen by then, but just look out at the view. Yeah, every now and then we'll wake up at like really, really early, 5 a.m. And so sometimes we'll catch a sunrise. And then we will walk to a local cafe. Yeah, usually there's like cafes 10 to 15 minutes max. Otherwise, yeah, it's like down the street. But it's really nice when we stay in really, not deserted areas, but local areas, because you gotta like take a little walk. So we'll take a nice little walk to the cafe, have a breakfast, again, talk about like what we plan to do for the day, what we have in our mind, anything that we're working on, our intention for the day or the week. Just checking in, just like, hey, I've kind of had a really like rough night of sleep, so you know, today I might not be talkative, and just to let you know it's nothing that you did. So it was a big leaf, and I thought it was a snake. I've never seen a snake in Bali, and yet I create snakes. Yeah, I mean, the only animals here are geckos, and geckos are fine because they eat the mosquitoes, so I'm all for geckos. Okay, ADHD! Ugh. Okay, so that's the routine. I don't know why I started talking about this. There was a point, I think. Getting back home. Like, so yeah, by the time our day ends, like, we'll put in like maybe a 3-hour work session, but like, it's rarely longer than that. Like, it's 2 hours here, maybe 2 hours there. We might go to like a co-working space, not a co-working space, but like, again, like a cafe where you can co-work just to change up the scenery. But yeah, the other day we went on a hike with friends. Like, it's so laid back. And then we'll probably Yeah, more often than not, we order a massage, a 90-minute massage for both of us. Sometimes we'll do it at the same time. Like the beds are really big and they can just lay us side to side, which is really nice. Or we'll do it in separate bedrooms. Because usually we get like a 2-bedroom spot, just because it's nice to have one room is like, not the changing room, but it's kind of like, one room is like just for sleeping and just for napping, and then the other room is like where we let our suitcases become tornadoes. And I find that like really good for like allowing for deeper sleep, because sometimes we can like clutter our bedrooms up so much that it doesn't become a place for rest. So I'm actually really excited to redesign the bedroom at the next place that we will move to, which we'll talk about in a second. And yeah, just to be like literally just have a bed and be as minimal as possible. So yeah, I'm excited to get back to the US, work on some ideas, relaunch the podcast, crank out some just different content formats, and yeah, just be kind of like, I feel like there's a missing voice. Every time I feel like there's a missing voice and I feel called to like lead in a different way, like good things have always happened. So I think a part of me is like very scared and apprehensive because I'm like, am I ready for the good things that will happen? Yeah, and there's some exciting podcast interviews I'll be doing this summer and a couple speaking opportunities. So just getting back in my flow and being okay with being seen. Like, I think sometimes I go into seasons where I just like hide. Like, I'm not trying to be on stages. I'm not trying to be featured. I just kind of do my thing behind the scenes, live my happy little life. But that doesn't serve the mission that I've been given. So yeah, what I did, what I learned, what I felt, what I did is, yeah, my period came this week, so I just laid around. Oh, I watched an incredible documentary called The Turning Point, The Bomb in the Cold War. It's on Netflix. It will cost you 9 hours of time. And I say cost because that is absolutely an expensive chunk of time to waste on a film, but it is probably the greatest documentary that was ever created in the last century on history from the last century. Like, my goodness. It pieces together so much, with it being an election year as well, it pieces together so much context as to what the US is. Like, a lot of us are, we're hip to the game. We know about the US corruption, but this really lays it out in a way that you are just horrified and humbled by all of it. There's just so much. And it's just scary how close the world was to ending multiple times, and like how little we probably acknowledge it. It's just mind blowing. So that's what I did. What I learned, probably a lot of historical ties and small little pieces of historical context I was able to piece together. I went down a lot of really weird rabbit holes with like historical figures and past communist and socialist leaders. So yeah, I just learned a lot of like random fun facts about past political leaders in other countries. What I felt, a little bit lethargic, a little bit also, we can kind of feel, Stefan and I, a little bit of travel fatigue. And that's what I was saying. It's weird that like it's happening so fast, because it's only been 2 months. We spent Valentine's Day in Turkey, and that marked like this whole trip. No, see, this is why. In January, I took like 8 flights. So I think I was entering February exhausted. Yeah, and it's so interesting. I packed in February thinking I was going to be on the road for like 4 to 6 months consecutively. And 2 months later, I'm like, well, oh, and it's crazy because I came technically to Bali on a one-way ticket. Like there was no return ticket. I often travel on one-ways when I'm on the road because I never know how I'm going to feel. And I like to leave space for adventure. So one part of me was like, I was gonna take a solo trip to Korea to meet up with my friend Courtney. Another part of me was gonna go back to Bosnia to be with Stefan and just kind of like settle into the spring in Europe. And then, of course, the other part of me can go back home to the US, where I'm in my final year of my lease in my high-rise building, and start packing and start like, yeah, kind of saying goodbye to that space. So yeah, it feels weird. I do think that that plays a big role in like why I feel this urge to come home. Because I live in a city that there's nothing great about the city, I'll be very honest. I don't share the city for my own reasons, but I don't like where I live in the US. There's nothing spectacular about the city. I love my apartment. I've lived in it for the last 5 years, but the city itself, there's nothing great about it. So I have anytime I go back to the US, it's to be home, not to be like out and about. So, yeah, speaking of like the search, I will be more open about this next city because we are looking for like, yeah, community. We are excited to build community and like, yeah, kind of start over. And we see ourselves living in this next place for about 5 years. So on one hand, we're looking for a really nice building and the building will dictate the city. On the other hand, we're looking for a really great view. And then based on whatever building is near that view, we'll like make it work. So it's just like constantly back and forth. I'll feel so good about one city and then I'll learn a fun fact or a stat about another city and then I'll see the airport connections. And one city in particular, like it connects both to Bosnia and to Bali and we were like, this could be it. So it's just, yeah, and just, I do feel like we're probably, in this next place, we'll probably be a lot more, we're still gonna travel, but I think for the next 5 years, we're really looking to build community in our 2 places. So in Bosnia, we already found like a place that we probably are gonna invest in. Like, it's a condo basically, but it's like really beautiful development. Brand new floor to ceiling windows vibe, so it still has that like elevated living vibe or energy. And yeah, having that same thing in the US, it's like really dope, so that when you travel, you're traveling for the experience and the adventure, not so much for the luxury, because you live in the luxury. So it's really kind of like changed the way that we're approaching the search. I said a whole lot of nothing, but I am excited. I just had a really nice lunch. My favorite place, one of my favorite places, probably top 5 in Bali, is a place called Moana, and they have these like tuna aubergine appetizers, and I could live off of that. So I just had it. I'm very happy. Okay, y'all, I think that's it. Yeah, we're at 23. Okay, this was long for no reason. I rambled a whole bunch in the beginning, but it's really good to be back. It's really good to be making this on time. And like I mentioned, next video I will be home and I'm really looking forward to that. And I think that's it. I'll save that for another video. Bye, y'all.